I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast. Today on the Team Chip Podcast, we're going to be talking with Mr. Zeke Merchant. He's been a student of ours for a really long time, and he's also one of our senior instructors here on the mat. He is an amazing young man, recently graduated from college and got married and is still teaching like a champ for us on the mat. We're going to talk about encouraging peer support, fostering a sense of camaraderie and unwavering support, etc. Some of the key components that makes Team Chip successful. We're going to roll them out. We're going to chat about them and break them down for you today. All right, guys, I'm super excited to be here today. On today's episode, we have the one and only Mr. Zeke Merchant, and we're going to be talking about encouraging peer support, camaraderie, building relationships on the mat amongst the team, amongst the students, amongst the team and the students. And, it lends itself a whole lot to the culture, and the culture is so powerful. People don't quit jobs. They quit bad bosses and they quit bad cultures, right? Because, most of the time people can be happy doing what they're doing, but if the atmosphere they work in stinks, man, it is no fun. And Zeke is amazing at this kind of stuff. And so welcome, Mr. Zeke. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic. I'm just pumped to have you here.
Woohoo.
So this is fun for me because Zeke started training with us when he was seven. Okay,
I was 2007.
7 in 2007. Well, that makes life easy. I can remember that now.
I know. It was so cool.
All right. We got to have easy ways to remember things from my old brain. Anyway, so 7 and 7. So how old are you now, Zeke?
I am 23.
Oh, my Lord. I am old. I mean, you're old. Jeez. 23. All right. So Zeke started training with us when he was 7. He has gone through being a student.
Yes, sir.
He has gone through the leadership team training, assistant instructor training. He has done Satori training. He is our chief instructor in our parkour program in the Abilene location. He is a co-chief with our demo team. He is an absolute killer martial artist and very good at parkour and tricking as well. So it makes it fun, a good package. And I'm super excited to have you here. But he's also amazing with the students. So with that said, Zeke, let's go back and let's talk just a little bit about your journey. What got you started in martial arts and what brought you to where you are today?
Right. So I think I remember one day, driving by, because we live not too far away from the school, right, when I was growing up. And I remember driving by and being like, man, what's that big yellow building for? My mom was like, that's where they do all the kicks, punch, whatever, kind of cool. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I think we ended up trying it in the fall, my first grade year. And we tried it. And I was like, man, this is cool. This is awesome. And then we actually ended up going, starting that year at a school in town that was run by the Wilhelms. And I know you remember those guys.
Absolutely.
And so we started there, and then a year later, Aiden ended up joining in 2008, and that's kind of what stuck us in for the long run.
Nice. So when little brother Aiden came in, that just stuck you for the long haul, huh?
That's right.
There was no backing out because the competition started between the brothers. Right?
We got a little grind in. It was fun.
Whatever it takes, baby.
That's right. So we ended up training for a while. I ended up testing for my recommend and first degree black belt in 2013.
Nice.
So if you are ever scared, man, I don't know if that kid's gonna make it. It took me 5.5 years to earn my black belt.
Nice.
So if you give it enough time, you'll make it.
Absolutely. Time and dedication and consistency.
For sure.
You were a never give up kid always. You still are, man. It's like you're a killer worker. But, the journey is different for everybody. That's why we call it the personal martial arts journey, empowering people on their personal, and yours is yours, and that's what matters, man.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Cool. So what about parkour? So what got you interested in parkour? Tell me a little bit about parkour. Define that some for me, okay?
Right. Parkour, at its core, is getting from point A to point B as fast as possible.
Right.
So going over blocks, whatever that is. And I've always thought of free running as doing the cool tricks along the way.
Cool.
It's just easier to combine the two and just okay, now we're doing cool tricks and vaulting and all that cool stuff. I think I ended up starting training parkour in 2014 at another gym here in town.
Right.
A little after I got my black belt. So I was kind of doing team chip and learning parkour.
Absolutely.
And then did that for a few years. And then eventually, after I was hired on for staff, we ended up starting our own parkour program here at Team Chip as well.
Right. And that's cool. And another thing, like if you're a martial arts school owner or a business operator out there, I know in the early days, I didn't like for my guys to cross train into other things much. I wanted them to focus on their martial arts and just be martial artists. And over time, I realized I'm really kind of holding you guys back, and it stinks. So whenever you started training in parkour somewhere else, I was actually excited for you to learn, to grow, expand your boundaries. And I feel like they kind of almost go hand in hand, right? So can you talk maybe a little bit about, just before we dive into the topic for the day, like how martial arts and parkour do maybe parallel some and how they work off of each other and feed each other?
For sure. So parkour and martial arts are both very individualized journeys, right?
Right.
It's not like you are just, okay, now you're all of a sudden this good, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. You're not a part of like a specific team like you are for other sports. With martial arts, you guys know very well, you all start in your own place, right? And some people struggle with forms or katas, and some people struggle with one steps or close self-defense movements. And everyone has their own struggle and strengths that they have. The same is true for parkour.
Right.
There's a lot of physical strength requirements that you need, but there's also a lot of technique things. So there's a whole bunch of individualized strengths and weaknesses that everybody's going to have when they start.
Right. So the journey in and of itself is very similar to martial arts, right?
100%.
You start in parkour and maybe you're good at a certain area. Kind of like for me, what I think about is in kicking. Some people are a little bit more genetically predisposed and natural at kicking to the front, like a front kick or a front stretch, and some people a little more to the side. And so if we're predisposed to being a little more flexible and kicking to the front and being able to control that, we might have to work harder on roundhouses and side kicks and hook kicks that go to the side, right?
Exactly.
And so we have those areas that are kind of natural strengths and natural weaknesses, which is very normal. And part of what we do in the martial arts school is continue to feed the strengths, but at the same time be feeding those weaknesses as well to help to grow in those areas. And I think that's really powerful. So, hey, just for a minute, let's talk about like what are some of your kind of key moments, key memories, growing up as a kid on the Team Chip mat, on the, in the martial arts school. Anything stand out to you in those times, things that were good learning opportunities or inspirations, things like that?
There's only like so many memories that really stick out, especially after however long it's been, 15
really
years or so.
Long, like a long time.
No. So there's only like so many memories that stick out. I remember being, before Gym Thor was even a thing, that back Gym 3 room being like a yellow or an orange belt, doing front stretch kicks, and one of my instructors going, "Hey man, you are so cool. Why don't you come stand in front of the class and show everybody how to kick?"
Nice.
That is one of those just core memories that I was like, whoa, okay.
Nice. Well, real quick, don't lose your thought.
For sure.
But like from a teaching tactic perspective, what do we call that now?
That's spotlighting.
Spotlighting, right. Maybe you see a kid that's just really hustling and they don't even have to be the high belt in the room, right?
For sure.
Yeah, sometimes we can drag that kid up that's in the second or third line that's just really putting their heart into their work today, and then what do we do with them, man? Tell me how that works.
We just say, hey man, you've been doing an awesome job. You were working hard. You're showing how this is. You're showing what this kick is supposed to be like, or what this technique is, and that gives that kid a boost of confidence. Going, man, I know what I'm supposed to do, and it also helps raise the room because everyone goes, oh man, I can lead the room if I work like that.
Yeah, that's so exciting, right? I love that. So bring that kid up, no matter what line they're in. There's just those days where the kid's on the front line. And when we talk about front line, that's our higher belts, typically the leaders. And then we put the lower belts, the newer students, to the back. And part of the reason we do that is so those lower belt students in those classroom settings are looking up and forward to the higher levels, kind of being hopefully inspired. But sometimes the front line's not their best and they're a little off that day, and we can pull somebody up from the back. And so it's so cool that you have a memory of that from when you were a kid that kind of stands out in your mind.
Right. I don't know, I guess it's, and I think this is something we'll end up talking about later today too, but it's how you felt in the moment.
Right.
I don't remember exactly what we're doing. I just remember how it made me feel as a little kid.
Yes. That is so powerful. How we make people feel, how we treat them, right? And that's what we're going to talk again about, kind of camaraderie and creating some relationships and helping people to feel good. So let's talk real quick about how do we encourage camaraderie amongst our students, and how do we encourage camaraderie amongst our teams? So let's think about the students first.
Right.
How do you do that in the class?
I think something that's really important is to make sure that the kids are working together,
Right.
that they are doing partner drills or team building drills.
Right.
We talk about team building exercises and stuff like that.
Right.
We want the kids to be together. We don't want to, even in that big room, separate them out.
Right.
Have them do their own thing. I love it when they can work together, because ultimately this is where like these guys are building a lot of their friendships with their friends in class.
Absolutely. And they're going to be building those for a long time. So how important is them, the concept that popped in my head as you were talking there is we talk a lot about being cooperative and not too competitive. Now, talk about that a little bit. How important is cooperative versus competitive and things? Speak into that a little bit for me.
Right. So I know both of us, we love to be competitive.
Wait a minute. Are you talking to me? I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe, sir. But we love to be competitive.
Right.
We love to try to be the best. I don't like it when somebody's moving faster than me, yelling louder than me, whatever.
Lane?
No, sir. We're not going to talk about that today.
That's an inside joke, guys. So I got a couple of young guys, Zeke and Mr. Lane, a bunch of amazing young guys that are instructors. And I give them a hard time sometimes. Like if Zeke's doing something, I'll walk by and whisper in his ear, I think Lane might be a little faster. And all of a sudden the fire is on. So
he's wrong most of the time, but
that is probably right. No. But if Lane's here, I'm gonna go the other way. Okay.
I know. Come on, man.
I love you guys the same, man.
So I'm super competitively driven. I want to be the best.
Right.
But I also got to understand, okay, this is my friend in class. This is somebody that we're training with, working with. I want them to be the best too.
Right.
I want to cooperate with them, because if I just come in and beat you down every time I see you, you're never going to learn anything.
Exactly.
You don't have the opportunity to learn.
Exactly.
So if we're cooperative when we're working together, then when we need to get a little competitive, like at a tournament setting or maybe at a testing, then we can actually turn it on and go.
Right. You can flip that switch and go. And I think it's also important. And again, if you're an instructor or martial arts school owner, you understand these concepts probably inherently already. But if, like you said, if we just, make it competitive from the get-go and it's all about competition and winning, it's really hard to learn.
For sure.
Because there has to be, we talk sometimes about slow is smooth and, smooth is fast. And we got to slow things down and understand the technique and understand what we're doing. So I really like that concept and what you're saying about, cooperative versus competitive. So in our classes, we talk to the students and, hey guys, today let's be a little more cooperative with each other. Let your partner execute that self-defense. But as they get good at it, we talk about emotional intelligence and trying to, now that they're doing it, let's start to ramp up some resistance and let them feel that resistance, right? And so that the technique can be as real and functional as possible, but you still get to operate and learn the movements and build some correct muscle memory, right? So let's talk just real quick about like camaraderie amongst the team. So, you were talking about keeping the kids in groups where they're working together, they're developing life relationships. How does camaraderie amongst our leadership team and our teaching team, how does that matter? What are you speaking to that some?
So I think it's really important for our team to train together and work together.
Yes.
Because then we can learn how we work under the mat, under some pressure, under some stress. And because I know you guys, especially school owners, people who've seen and watched this happen a lot, one of the most vulnerable places you can be is one-on-one versus somebody in the ring.
That's right.
And it's because that is a very scary place to be, especially when you're uncertain. There's uncertainty.
Right.
Around. And so when you're able to scrap with somebody, fight with somebody, work with somebody, be cooperative with somebody, you build a level of trust that you can't get basically anywhere else.
Right.
Because you are trusting, you are figuratively and almost literally giving your life to your partner, saying, you are in charge of me now.
Right.
If I get hurt or I die, it's up to you. You got to keep me safe.
Right. That's powerful, man. That is a huge perspective to think about, man, that you're kind of, especially whenever you're getting into submission type stuff, where you got someone's arm exposed and in a bind, or you've got them by the throat and it's like, you're kind of holding their life, right? There's got to be a lot of trust. And I know I just yesterday in the kids jiu-jitsu class, I was helping out in there and I set the kids down and I said, what do you do if you're in a bind? And they're all pretty new. There's, some that are a little more experienced. A couple of them raised their hand. We tap, sir. I was like, yes, you tap. You tap to let your partner know you're done. And we had the conversation about it's essential that you tap and that the person that has the hold making you tap has to let go immediately. So you can build what you said, trust, right?
Right.
It's so powerful. So as a team, we get together and we train on Wednesday mornings. We train extra on Saturday mornings prior to teaching classes. How important is that Saturday morning training for you working with your team?
I think it's really nice to see. One, we kind of get to go over our higher level curriculum because I know we're teaching classes. We can't always be in class in the afternoons. And we get to kind of see where our team is at. It's nice getting to work with like the JTs and Mannies who've done this for a little bit longer, who have some good technical background that I don't have. But then it's also nice to be able to work with some of our younger instructor teams that are coming up to be able to pass on some of the little extra nuggets that I have to them so that they can become better and take our spot one day.
Absolutely. And I love that because you mentioned JTs and Mannies that are a little more experienced than you and how cool it is to get to work with them. You are the Zeke, the JT Manny, for those younger instructors in that room, right? And you guys are polishing and building relationships and building a high level of trust, training together as martial artists first. And then when you're on the mat together as teachers, there's already a good relation, a good rapport, good trust, and you guys can tag in and out and work well with each other. And I think that's super powerful. I'm going to repeat this piece because I think it's big. We're martial artists first, and we train together as leaders, and we train together as martial artists, and then we go and we pour that into the students. And I think that's so powerful. So we have a concept around teamship that we've talked about for a long time. I read a book, Zeke, years ago, and I can't remember the name of the book, and I can't remember the guy. There was a college soccer coach who took like the ladies soccer team to the national championships, like 10 out of 11 years or 9 out of 10 years. It was huge. It was like back-to-back national champions. And I apologize, I'm not huge into sports, but I read this, and what stood out to me is they were asking him, how did you consistently create that excellence? And in the book, he said there were two major ingredients to him to excellence. And you're nodding your head, so I want you to speak into that. We call it, I'll let you speak into it. So what are those two ingredients?
So it's really funny because I literally talked to one of the kids' class yesterday about this.
Nice.
So it kind of worked out perfectly. The two ingredients to create excellence is first you need a challenge.
Right.
The challenge is what we do on the mat.
Yes.
That's the kata, the form, the one steps, the workout, the squats, whatever that is.
Right.
That's the challenge.
Right.
Second thing you need is unwavering support.
Yes.
You need support from your team. And I was telling the kids, unwavering, it doesn't move. It stays there the whole time. Support, you're supporting your friends. And if you can get those two ingredients together, you guys will be excellent.
Man, I love that. Unwavering, it's there, it doesn't go away. And support, you're coming around each other and holding each other to the fire, but encouraging each other, right?
100%.
That's so powerful. I don't know, for some reason, years ago when I read that really stuck out. And it kind of became almost a battle cry there for a while, guys. Unwavering support, unwavering support. And so it's funny when martial arts school owners, who we recently had one in the school visit, they're like, the culture in this place is unbelievable. As a matter of fact, one of my wins from that visit this week from this other family from another martial arts school, they came here just to see how we operate and how things go. And one of the things that they said is the wife actually said, she said, statistically, in a business, not everyone is going to have a great day every day. Someone's going to be off. She said, I was absolutely blown away at the number of team members you have hustling in different areas in the building, and I didn't see a single person having a bad day. And man,
that's crazy.
It's crazy, but it made me feel so good. And I think it goes back to this, there's a constant unwavering support, right? So I know this may be a tiny bit off track, but if Zeke is up leading a class and I'm maybe assisting him in that class, and I do, although my rank is high, whatever, I don't care about rank. I can be at the back of the room, being a pad holder, a high fiver. If Zeke looks at me and kind of gives me a nod, a wink, we have some little things we can do, and he's kind of going, I feel stuck, I need a tag, I can tag in, boom, move, and we keep going. And I become Zeke's unwavering support right there on the spot. And another comment that those guys made, and I want you to speak into this a little bit too, is they were like, your building was just kind of electric. It was constant movement. There was no downtime, and they were speaking to literally on the mat and even the lobby, like the rotation of parents and kids and the things going on. So how do you feel that we pour into that zero downtime and keeping that electricity kind of high in the building during that peak time?
Right. I think one of the big things we try to do is try to stay as excited and on fire as we can. Right. We want to keep the kids moving. One, I know we know the concept of zero downtime. It's like we don't want them to stop moving, we want them to keep doing stuff, but we also want that to be productive stuff.
Right.
We want it to be fun. We want it to be exciting and practical, not just jumping jacks.
I love that word, Zeke. Practical. Right.
Right. So I think with the way that I have been taught to teach was always excited, fast pace. We want to move a whole lot because I don't want to come to martial arts to learn how to throw a kind of whatever punch,
a mediocre strike,
right? I want it to be high energy and fun. And I remember the feeling of high energy classes. I don't remember everything I did in those classes.
Yes.
But I remember the feeling of, whoa, today was a great day because I just felt so on fire or so excited,
Say that again. You remembered the what?
I remember the feeling.
Yeah, I love that. And you were talking about earlier how you remembered the feeling from being even a kid on the mat whenever you were spotlighted because you were standing out that day, really putting your heart into it, and you were brought to the front to be a leader, and it empowered the entire room, but it really empowered you. And I think it's so awesome. Man, people bring kids to a martial arts school or they bring themselves to a martial arts school initially and they say, I want to be more confident. I want to learn how to defend myself. And very commonly, we can ask them a year later, why are you still here? And they go, because I love the environment or I've made great relationships and friends here. It's never the beautiful sidekick. It's the feeling, right?
Right, 100%.
That's so good. Well, I love where this has gone and what you're saying. One thing I wanted to kind of say is, what do we teach our students and our instructors about when they come on the mat, like taking their
problems and their shoes?
Yes.
We talk about this a lot.
Yep, talk to that. That's good.
It's really easy to take the garbage that has happened in the day and let that kind of affect you and just drag you down. And so it's nice whenever you go to tackle a project, and I've taken this concept and I'll use it everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere I go. If I go work somewhere else or if I'm at school, whatever that is.
Yes.
Basically, I'm taking my problems, I'm putting them in the shoes, all the things that were affecting me an hour or so ago. In the moment, they don't matter. Now, when I put my shoes back on, then I can go back and deal with those problems. But I take my shoes off, I take my problems, whatever garbage happened in the day, put it in my shoes. I go work out for an hour, don't think about it, I just move. Or if I'm teaching, same thing. I'm just, my focus is on the kids.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they're here to have an amazing class. They're not here to listen to me whine about my day.
I love it. Speak the truth, man. It's true. I don't want to cut you off. Keep the thought going. But so many times you can walk in and, I'm just going to say it. I was sitting across the table from a martial arts instructor one time. And this boggled my mind. This was supposed to be a world-class guy, right? And honestly, he was kind of a world-class turd. Sorry. But he sat across the table and he was gloating to the table. We were at a big martial arts event about how his students knew when he walked in the door if he was in a good or bad mood. And he was prideful in the fact that he would be like, oh, yeah, the kids see me coming after a bad day, and they're like, oh, Sensei's in a bad mood today. We must be careful. And he was like proud of himself. And I was just so boggled. So I'm going to use that to kind of segue back to you. I want you to, again, kind of walk through that process. We come in the building, and what do we do? Because you said something earlier, and I think is huge. You said, when I teach high energy, kind of fast pace, moving classes. We know young kids need animation. They need excitement, right? And so you guys do a killer job. But the question in the mind, I think, of the listener might be, how the heck do you do that, Zeke? And I think it goes back to this issue. How do you do it?
I take my problems.
Yep.
I put them in my shoes. My focus right then and there. Let's say I'm teaching the Little Dragons class. It's 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's not too long. All I have to do is focus on, for some of those little guys, it feels like an eternity sometimes.
It can feel like an eternity, baby.
But you take that 30 minutes and like, okay, all I have to do is make this kid's day, make them have a super fun time, be super energetic. And I've been doing this long enough to where I feel like I'm failing myself if I do anything less.
Nice.
And I'm failing them because I just want them to have a super fun class. I want them to learn. So I just focus in for that 30 minutes, whatever that is. And then we are lucky enough, we've got like a 15-minute break in between kind of each class. So if I need to go take care of something, I can. Or sometimes I'll get like 5 minutes to kind of go, okay, that was a really good class. Or, okay, maybe that was not the best class. We'll make that a little better next time.
Right.
Take a second to kind of rest. And then we're back on for the next 45-minute class. And then it's just focus in on those guys right then and there. I'm not worried about dragons. I'm not worried about the next class. Those in the moment don't matter.
Right.
I'm just focused on those guys, making sure that I deliver something worthwhile to them, and then rinse and repeat for all the classes afterwards.
Nice. That is so powerful, and I hope everybody's hearing that. Your ability at 23 years old, man, and I have to say, we kind of jokingly say, I'm not even sure your frontal, prefrontal cortex is even fully developed. But man, you're married, you're doing great, you've graduated from college. I could not be more proud of you. But man, for 23, to have the mindset you have and to be able to sit here and say, I want these kids to have a good class. I want my adults. You teach adults all the time too. And to have the willingness to go, okay, I had a rough day. Things aren't going my way. Maybe there's a bill problem at home, or there's whatever that is, and just put that aside and come in and let that go and focus on those who need you in that moment. That is so powerful. And I think it's something that everyone needs to work on a lot, but it's a big part of how we come in and keep the energy high and keep things moving well.
If I can add on to that
please,
real quick.
Please.
I've always, like, growing up in high school, whatever, the word anxiety and depression have been thrown around a lot in our day and age, you know? And I never really understood those concepts or like how they manifested themselves because, and I think one of the main reasons is because whenever you guys come, and I was doing adult class by then because I was 13 plus. And so whenever I come in to do class, all I need to worry about is class. You get all of that kind of physical pumped up energy you had throughout the day. You get that out, and then also refreshes your mind.
Right.
Because all you have to do is you don't have to think. You just autopilot and just whatever the instructor says.
Follow orders and work hard at it, right?
That's right. You do your best. And then by the end, man, it is so much easier to tackle all those projects, all those anxieties, whatever.
Right. Well, the positive endorphins you got going in your body, like, I've never been into drugs, but I commonly will say sometimes to people, God gave us the best drugstore ever. It's already built in. We just have to learn how to manage that, whether it's adrenaline in the moment that I need the adrenaline, or it's serotonin, or one of these positive endorphins that we get. We already have it inside, and we have to learn to kind of manage and control that, and we can. I think that's really, really powerful. So really, really good stuff. I'm so thankful for this. So, let's talk real quick about, you alluded to already that some of these concepts, like putting your problems in your shoes and going on to your other job, because you do some other work on the side and things, and we're very proud of you for that. How do these concepts affect you in those areas? So when you go to your other job, talk about the unwavering support. Have you been able to plug that concept in at your other jobs? Putting your problems in your shoes. How does it affect you outside of here?
Right. Just for context, so people know kind of what's going on. I graduated from ACU.
Right.
As I got a theater degree, which I know that's so crazy. And so sometimes I'll go and help build sets.
Right.
So doing carpentry work, metal work, stuff like that. And I think I take a lot of these concepts, and a lot of them just happen without me even thinking.
Right.
They're just so habitual that whenever I'm working with people, it just happens.
Cool.
And I think one of the biggest things that if you can take anywhere, that unwavering support, and if these guys know like the 3x3 rule, those are some of the best.
What is that,
things.
real quick, in case they don't?
That is 3. You're basically like within a class, you want to get 3 eye contacts with a student, say their name 3 times, and 3 some sort of physical touch.
Appropriate physical contact, right.
And so now, granted, if I'm building a set and we're building for 2.5 hours or 4 hours, I'm not necessarily thinking about every okay, I want to give this person a high five 3 times, whatever, you know?
Right.
Because I'm not teaching, I'm just building sets. But what I do want to do is if I'm communicating with people, look them in the eye, say their name. Hey, you did a great job. Thank you for doing that for me. And just a little fist bump or high five. I think that really, really helps because nobody does that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I know I'm working with college kids, so some of these kids are like, yeah, I know what's going on. And some of these kids are super shy.
A little shy and lost, right.
And so it's just, I'm not even, like, it's a fraction of what I do here.
Right.
A fraction of what I do. And I think it can help bring life and joy because how many people go around and say, hey, thank you for doing X, Y, and Z. You did a great job at this.
Right.
You know? And so if I can bring even a little bit of that to the people that I'm around,
right,
I think that creates a very positive and happy work environment.
Couldn't agree more. Those guys that are a little bit, I know it all, kind of brings their guard down, softens them up, and lets them know you care, even though you're a little older and a little more experienced, right? And helps them to know how. But those that are shy and kind of hidden in the background, it helps to bring them out as well. It's almost like you help them to find a middle ground through the teaching tactics and the concepts that you've worked on and learned and had ground into you for years. And I think that's really, really powerful. The reason I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit is because I think sometimes as martial arts school owners and leaders, we question ourselves, am I really the right guy for this job? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And I think hearing you say that even kind of makes me feel better about what we do. Like, oh my gosh, this does matter because you can take this out into the world and really make a change, and that's powerful. So I do want to jump back. In the intro, I should have been a little more cognizant of this, but Zeke, when you were 18 or 19, you went to the International Sport Karate Association World Breaking Competition, right?
Yes, sir.
And you had to break on Friday night with the United States Breaking Association to qualify and earn a position to make the world stage the next day. And I just wanted to bring this up, guys. Zeke is a high level martial artist. He's training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're currently a 3rd-degree black belt in the traditional stand-up kind of kickboxing taekwondo program, and a phenom guy. But he's also the first guy in the world ever to do a round-off backflip baseball bat break above your head. So speak to that a little bit. Was that fun? Was that challenging? Was that scary whenever the cameras were on and you were on the big stage?
That is one of the biggest moments I think that I have right now. That's one of those huge, like, whoa, I did that, you know? So I remember turning 18 and I was like, I want to break concrete. I want to go compete.
Right.
I want to, like, I think this would be fun to at least try and just see where we're at with it. And I don't remember if it was you or who it was, but somebody was like, hey, you should try to break a bat with a backflip. And I was like, there's no way. You can do that? And so we did it. Basically, I was just hammering round off back tucks every day.
Yeah, with the flash kick at the top, right?
Just the flash kick
over
and over.
And remember practicing on some bow staves just to kind of get the feel, not near as heavy and hard as a baseball bat.
For
but
sure.
Oh my gosh, I remember trying to figure out the height and the range and the things. And then you did a great job of modifying. And then we got to the big stage and the spacing was different.
Oh, it was
you
tiny.
had to adjust. Yeah.
It was tiny. It was crazy because I had to do my whole breaking routine Friday before, right? We did a bow staff for that one because there's no way I'm breaking 2 bats.
Right.
That's crazy. I mean, I did a 360 up bat that night too. So,
right.
But I had my whole routine. I had practiced it a whole bunch. Competed Friday night, dude. That went super smooth.
Super good. Mm-hmm.
So I qualified for the night stage, the big guys, and went and competed. I missed a few breaks, I think, some stumbles, so that placed me down a whole lot. My feet were already sore from the day before because I remember going up for that. I did like a skip side on like 4 or 5 breaks, and I was like, oh, Lord, I have to do this now.
That's right. You're sore.
I know. And then it was wild because I just remember I'm out the corner of the stage. There's the bat on the other side. Unwavering support is something we've talked about. My whole team's around me.
Yes.
I can't hear anything, though.
Yes, you're zoned out.
I'm zoned out. And I just remember looking at it going, I don't know what I'm thinking right now, but I just know I'm going to do this.
Yes.
And I don't remember doing the flip. I don't remember anything. I just remember landing and knowing it broke.
It broke.
It broke. And that was Wild.
We were so pumped. It was like it blew everyone's mind, man.
Yeah.
It blew everyone's mind. They were like, holy freaking cow, this kid just did a backflip and broke a baseball bat. And we were holding that thing. It had to have been like 9-ish feet high, maybe 10. It was high. Yeah, we're standing in chairs, and I'm 6'3", and I'm extended almost as high as I can reach to hold the bat. It was like crazy. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring that up because I want the people out there listening, and then to have you, an athlete at that level, and a young man at the level that you're at, just in your life, to come in here and pour yourself out to kids, adults, on the daily, and pour yourself the way you do is amazing. So thankful for you. Yeah. So Zeke, before we wrap up here, any final words for people out there? Any words of wisdom from the 23-year-old college graduate who's teaching martial arts? What you got for us?
Well, there ain't much, but no. I think I was thinking about camaraderie a lot recently.
Right.
I think that is one of the most important parts of what we do.
Yes, sir.
I think trying to do this solo by yourself, nobody would ever make it.
Right.
I know if I was trying to do this by myself, I would have quit many, many years ago.
Right.
I mean, it's the same for most sports, right?
Right.
Try to go play football by yourself.
Right. It's not going to work. You got to have a team, right?
Right. So you have to have that team around you. And I know we say it's your individual journey, but you have to do it with your team.
That's right.
I've met some of my best friends. One of my best friends is Benjamin Hoyle, the lead at Team Chip San Angelo. We've been friends on this mat since forever, And so as leaders, encourage that camaraderie for your students.
Yes.
And just say, hey, this is where your friends are.
Right.
Because we don't know the kids at school, and we know some of those guys are going to be little turds, and that's just how it goes.
Right.
But hopefully, if we're doing our jobs right, we are building an environment of joy, happiness, unwavering support, all those things, hard work. And if you can become with friends in here, then you can do pretty much anything.
Absolutely. Well, we start these guys, at 3-ish, 4 years old and up, and we're constantly working on that, like build rapport, build relationships, communicate well. There's just so much that happens on the martial arts mat that doesn't commonly meet the eye. It's unbelievable. So it's awesome having you here, Zeke. So thankful for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Hey, guys, if you guys enjoyed this and got some nuggets out of it, I really hope you did. Subscribe, follow, comment, all of those things. We're just super thankful for you being out there listening to us, and hopefully we get to meet up soon. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review, because we need you. We appreciate you so much, and without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success, so go out there and never be outworked.